3 weeks ago, Beth Hanishewski underwent a double mastectomy. She's not here for sympathy. She's here because navigating work and leadership in the midst of cancer treatment has sharpened the message she speaks about everywhere. That real strength isn't muscling through. It's quieter than that. It's choosing your attitude, tending your mindset, setting boundaries, and letting support in. Often called the Swiss Army knife of coaches, Beth has an uncanny ability to see straight to the heart of a problem and break complex challenges into small, doable steps. Deliver with humanity, humor, and honesty. This chick is so honest. I love it. She's also the co-owner of the Alive Revolution, a program for people ready to step off the treadmill and build lives that actually feel alive. Yes, Beth is an internationally recognized speaker, coach, and writer with over 20 years' experience. She's shared stages with Jack Canfield, Sharma, Lisa Nichols, and Mike Dooley. But what defines her work isn't hype, it's her depth. And this is a conversation about quiet courage, agency in hard moments, and what real strength looks like when life changes. And what I love about this woman is she's so fucking real. You know, we've worked, traveled, shared the stage, and I love so much that who she is on stage and off stage is the same person. And at the same time, she has just the deepest compassion, and at the same time will kick your ass as you need it. You've always been an inspiration for me for that, Beth, and you didn't know that probably, but you always have. So listen up tight.
Thank you.
This is a conversation that really, really, really matters. Beth, with the hot new haircut, welcome.
Hot new haircut. I know it's coming in. I'm just waiting to see, is it going to be gray? Is it going to be dark? What is my hair going to be? And to be honest, I'm hoping that I get some witchy, curly. I feel like I've earned some witchiness, so I'm hoping it comes in interesting, but we'll see. It's only a few weeks old.
You're rocking the G.I. Jane look in such a good way for this lesbian, just so you know, everyone. And for those playing along on YouTube, absolutely, you'll get to see Beth's haircut. So
yeah.
I want to start with something that has always intrigued me about you. You say that you're a chicken farmer at mindset coaching. What do you mean, Beth?
I am in fact a chicken farmer. We
For real?
raised for reals. It's not just like a metaphor or an analogy or something. And it was quite a few years ago, actually, that my family, they came to me, and I've, husband and two kids. And at those days, they're like, "Oh, we've got this great idea, Mom." And when people say that, you always get a little bit worried. Like, what is the great idea? And they're like, "We want to become chicken farmers." And I was like, I wasn't excited about that. Like, I'm a dog person. I've now become a cat person. But basically, I like paws. I like tails. I like things you can pet. And the idea of like a chicken was like this dirty, pecky, angry birds. Like, I just had this very not good feeling about chicken. So I said, no, I think that's a bad idea. And I was totally overruled. And the next thing we knew, I think from the first time we got chickens, it was about 10. I think we got 10 baby, like day old chicks. Like, of course, they're so cute, when they're little babies.
Yeah, but they grow up.
But then, for those of you who've never raised a chicken, when they're little, like just days old, it's like the ICU. Like, the temperature has to be perfect, and their water and their food, and they can't be in an enclosure too big because they might splay their little legs, and like, it's a big deal. And then I didn't realize like how long it would take until they became, what I would call contributing members of the family and start laying eggs, which was 5 months. And anyways, all those big idea people left. They all went off to school or work. And I primarily, if I'm not traveling for speaking, I work from home. So who became number one chicken farmer? Yeah. That would be me, in charge of these chicks. And, much to my surprise, I just fell in love with those chickies. I can't even take it. Like, and of course, we're not a commercial farm. So we're not like, it's not like a barn full of thousands of chickens. We're talking 10 backyard chickens that were all hand raised. And like, you can pick them all up and they all have names and they all cuddle. And, like they're just the great, I mean, I basically turn them into my version of a pet dog. And my friends make fun of me because I have what they call a chicken voice. So when I go in the backyard, I'll go, girls, where's my girls? And then they run. And I can't even tell you, like, I'm the least likely chicken farmer, but I tell you, I'm like a vigilante. Everyone should have some. I just think they're the most fantastic animals of all time. They're just so funny and delightful. And, of course, they've made it into all my keynotes and coaching somehow because I underestimated how much joy those little dirty birds would give me. And so that's why I call myself chicken farmer now. I'm proudly a chicken farmer when I was a very reluctant, resistant farmer in the beginning, but it was transformational really in the chicken department for me.
Wow.
So there you
Okay.
go. Hmm.
So chickens have been transformational.
Hmm.
Breast
Yeah.
cancer's been transformational too, I guess.
Yes.
You
I
want to go
mean,
straight there? You've got a new haircut.
sure,
You've been
let's.
through chemo and a
Yeah.
double mastectomy. Let's
We
jump
should go
right
straight
on
there.
in.
It's so funny. You remind me, I saw a friend that I hadn't seen in a while at a Christmas party a month ago or so. And she comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, how are you? Like, how's the cancer?"
Mm,
It's so funny because lots of people don't actually say, "How's the cancer?" They'll just go, "How are you?" And she's like,
mm,
anyways, I laughed because she's got very dry, dark, twisty humor, which is my favorite.
But a lot of
So
women, a lot of
yeah,
people don't know how to deal with it either. That's why I thought we
well,
just
it's
dive
like
straight
any
in.
difficult conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like if someone has a death or someone, like you say, has cancer, someone has a situation, someone's lost their job, whatever. We often are like tiptoe around, right? The
Yeah.
little tulips. And I think I'm a fan of having those conversations. I'm a fan of asking people about it, and whether it's death or darkness or, like you say, cancer. So for me, cancer kind of came, as I call it. It was the plot twist of 2025 for me. So I was skipping along, my own business. Everything was, great. And I found a lump in my armpit. So it wasn't in my breast, it was in my armpit. And so, of course, I go to my doctor, and she was like, nothing. It's an inflamed lymph node. You're
Mm.
obviously something's going on. You're not feeling well, and don't worry about it. And so I thought, okay, well that's great, but I was a bit worried about it. And she said, well, you haven't had a mammogram in a while, so we'll send you off for one of those. So a couple months later, I show up for the mammogram, did that, then they go over to the ultrasound, and from there, that's when, as I call it, because I don't have any medical training, but I have years of Grey's Anatomy watching, and so this is where my little appointment turned into a bad episode of Grey's Anatomy because the radiologist tech, while she was scanning my armpit, she goes, "Oh, are you having any symptoms?" And I'm like, that is not a good question.
Mm.
I'm like, no, why do you ask? And then she's like, backs that up. Oh, no, I'm just curious. La, la, la. Anyways, after right away, the radiologist came in and he said, yeah, it doesn't look good. I
Mm.
have a suspicion. I don't want to worry you, but let's go get a biopsy and see where it's at. And 5 days later, I had the diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer because it had already moved to the lymph nodes. So it was already on the move, and I know for people listening, sometimes because unfortunately it's very hard to talk to someone whose life has not been touched by cancer in some ways, whether it's yourself or someone in your family or someone you love. So unfortunately, it's getting very commonplace. So I just feel, just for a moment, just for everyone to breathe. Like it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay. That's a heavy diagnosis. It's a heavy thing to just drop into our call, and it can be triggering for some people. So just know we're all good here. And for me, the cancer that I have is called HER2 positive, which is excellent as far as cancer goes, because 15 years ago they had no treatment for this cancer, which is crazy to think that it was only like just over 15 years ago. They thought the cancer that I have was, they treated it as a hormone based cancer, and it's not. It's a protein based cancer. Now I'm an expert on breast
Yeah,
cancer.
look at you go.
Um,
Go Grey's
yeah. And
Anatomy.
so before, yeah, exactly. So before, there's like four different kinds, and there's, most of them are hormonal based, but mine is not. It's protein based. It's also extremely fast growing. So it grows a percent a day if not treated. So it really likes to just fire into the body. And so that's why women 15 years ago almost always died of this cancer, because it just went rapid into the body. And by the time, they really realized, okay, this is getting away on us, it was already stage 3 and 4. And prognosis was very, very remote for those women. And women still die from this cancer for sure. Like, I have a friend whose best friend died of it 2 years ago. So
Wow.
it's not like breast cancer still can't kill you. But in my case, they felt it was, my prognosis was great. They have this new drug, which was great. But because it's aggressive, we're going to hit it with everything they could, which meant chemo, surgery, and likely potentially radiation therapy as well. So it's a year. It's a year of treatment. So I started in July, and I will be in treatment until next July. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. And you know, I think like any journey where you're hit with something that you didn't expect, obviously I took a bit of a pause and tried to figure out what that meant and what it would look like. And,
Yeah.
you don't really have a lot of time though. When you have an aggressive cancer, it's like the good and bad news. I immediately got like uh, you know, I live in Kelowna, BC, Canada. So I immediately got the Kelowna General Hospital Fast Pass. So lots of people have to wait for all kinds of tests. And when you have metastatic cancer, you don't have to wait for anything. So it's like Disneyland, but not quite as fun. So you can just get right in there
Fast lane.
and
Get
just,
in there.
I'm in the fast lane now. I need a CAT scan, it's done.
Of
I need
course you are. When you
MRI,
do
it's
things, you do
done.
them properly.
I'm like, get right in there, So, that's the perk of
Mm,
metastatic cancer. I got a free parking pass now. I have, there's so many perks. And so really quickly, I was like literally within 30 days, I had started chemo.
mm.
And the chemo I had, like I said, was guaranteed. I knew I was going to lose my hair. And I knew it was, I was having one of the drugs I was having it's called docetaxel, and it is the one of the greatest risks of this drug. Like all these drugs are great because they kill the cancer, but they also just about kill you. Like they're so hard on the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And
Rocket
one of the
fuel.
one
Yeah.
yeah. And so when I got this particular drug, they of course they worry a lot about allergic reactions and all kinds of things. They kind of hover over you, like because apparently allergic reactions happen immediately. That's my favorite. Like 1 minute you'd be good, and next minute, as soon as it starts dripping in you, you
Anaphylactic.
just they're quite concerned. Anyway, so and in addition to that, I had to wear these gloves. So while I'm getting my treatment, they would give me these gloves that were in minus 20 degrees Celsius freezers. I put them on my hands, and it's to prevent the drug going into my hands so that I don't have permanent neuropathy in my fingers. Yeah. And
Right.
so it's like, wow, okay, it's a lot. You're like, anyways, managed to make it through 6 rounds of that, finished that in November. Then I rested. Then, as we said, I just had my double mastectomy and a lumpectomy. I also had some lymph nodes. Obviously, the lymph node, which is where everything began, they removed some of those as well. And that was it's been good. I mean, I did have a little bit of a hiccup last week, so but and those happen, right? Like
You're
I
looking
was
pretty
feeling like I was
sparkly for 3 weeks and a hiccup.
well, well, you shouldn't. I mean, we couldn't have done this call last week because this is
Yeah.
what happened. I had my mastectomy and everything was good, and of course, when you first get out of the surgery, I mean, I phoned all my friends. I'm like, you should come by, come say hi, come, and they're like, like they're like it was like happy hour, but of course I was on a lot of drugs. So
So it was really happy hour.
I'm a very happy post-op patient. And then the first week was, I got to say, I was feeling like it was pretty manageable. I mean, I was obviously in pain, it was sore, and need lots of help. And you have your little, what I call my little T-Rex arms, because you really can't move your arms above
Yeah.
your head, and you can't, you can't drive, you can't do anything for 2 weeks minimum, and then sometimes longer. And anyways, I was like, this is fine, I can do this. And then when you have a major surgery like that, you get these drains that they put in, which are sort of help remove all the serous fluid and
Yeah.
sanguine fluid, and all the fluid that needs to come out of you needs to come out. Because when you remove parts of your body rushes to fill it with
Yeah,
fluid.
absolutely.
So anyways, those little fluid things were barely dripping, so they removed them a week later, and I was ecstatic about that, because they're actually super uncomfortable. They're
Yeah.
like these things that are sutured into you, and they're
Yeah.
not that.
Brains. Yeah.
That was not a good time. So they removed them, but in hindsight, what we realized is that somewhere in the tube there was maybe some blockage, so it wasn't really showing an accurate draining of what was needing to come out of me. And so as soon as they removed the tubes, then everything went a little bit crazy. So I started bleeding through all my bandages, I started spiking fevers, I started having infection, I like everything kind of went a bit sideways. And when you're a cancer patient, infection is actually one of the biggest things at risk for you, so because you can go septic so
Yeah.
quickly.
And
So
they help
everybody
your
got,
immune system with the drugs.
well, yeah, just like that. Yeah, my immune
Yeah.
system is so low
Yeah.
already. And so then you have the surgery, which lowered it, and then you add infection. So everybody was, quite concerned about it, myself included, but like every time you go to an appointment, they're like, okay, I think we've got you. Just, stop bleeding. And but if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, go straight to the emerge, right? Like
Yeah.
they're really concerned, right? And my poor husband, like, because I was just bleeding through all these bandages, like our house just looked like a murder scene. Like everywhere I went, it was just like just terrible.
Mm.
Everywhere I sat down, I was like, oh, guess I got to shampoo that chair. Like, oh my gosh, like it was a big thing. But turned a corner last week, and now I'm really good. And in fact, just to end this whole cancer
Yes.
chat
Yeah. Yeah.
on a positive, I just came from a meeting with my radiologist, and there's a chance that my response, so they, of course, when they do the surgery, they send everything off to pathology to
Yeah.
see, is there any cancer left, or do we get all the margins and all these, again, more Grey's Anatomy speak. And they said, this is my surgeon's exact words. She goes, your pathology report is as good as it gets. She says,
So
your,
maybe no zappy, no radiation, maybe.
well,
Woo!
and well, maybe, which I think would be amazing, because that doesn't sound like that much fun. I thought radiation kind of seemed minor in comparison to chemo and surgery, but
No.
after talking to the radiologist today, oh, there's so many things that go wrong with radiation, like
They're
you're
cooking
burning
you.
and reactive, and they're cooking you, and
Yeah.
your skin
I've
falls
had dear
off, and then
friends
of
go through
course
big cancer. It's huge. Yeah.
lymphedema, like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time. So, anyways, I mean, it's just nothing but fun on this journey, let me tell you. But here's the thing that was interesting. So, yes, good news, good news, good news with all the reports.
Yep.
However, the radiologist was actually a bit torn, I would call it, because he says, your results are so good, but what we're not seeing on your pathology report is what I call like the evidence of dead bodies. So when your lymph nodes and everything go through and they've been like attacked by the drugs, there should be scar tissue,
Mm.
and there isn't. There's
Mm.
no scar tissue. So now they're like concerned that we've shrunken the lymph nodes, but we didn't necessarily get it all. It might just be hiding somewhere. So now they're
Well, we're
concerned. They're like,
manifesting it's happy, hey?
it's happy. Yeah. But
Happy.
so, yeah, there's great pathology report, but he's like,
Mm.
you don't have a pathology report that automatically warrants radiation. But I would be remiss in telling you that there might still be cancer hiding in the body that we should maybe try to just extra,
Zap.
but
Zap your
zap.
armpits.
But he said it might only increase your likelihood of reoccurrence by less than 5%.
Oh, and the trauma that
And
you
then
caused you.
And then
That's
he
scary
says, but,
stuff to deal
but,
with.
but
That's
yeah,
the
and he goes,
worst.
and then but then your risk of the side effects, like those side effects, which
Mm,
are significant, especially the permanent lymphedema, which
yeah,
my, little arms would just blow up like the
yeah,
Michelin tar, just, yeah. And that would be a permanent,
the big
thing, not a
choice.
fig, not, he
Yeah.
goes, so we didn't make a decision today whether I'm having radiation. He's going to go consult some of his colleagues and see what they
Mm,
think. But he kind of was kind of giving this 5 or 10%. He goes, if it was 10% chance, I'd say we're going full bore treating you. He goes, if it's less than five, it's really, I don't know if I
okay.
would put you through that. So
Yeah.
now I have a choice. So we'll see. Maybe all I have to do is just finish the drug therapy and have no radiation. But then there's that little wiggly, niggly thing in the back of your mind that, but I have to say, and if anybody's going through cancer and they, you have to make all these big decisions, including the surgery, where breast cancer is one of the few surgeries where the patient has quite a bit of input because of the psychological effect
Yeah.
of removing
Totally.
breasts.
Yeah.
And so I really actually had a choice. I had the choice to have a lumpectomy and just kind of dig holes in me and just try to carve out as much of the cancer without taking everything. That was door number one. I could have had a single mastectomy and just take the right breast, which is the one that was everything was on the right side.
Mm,
And as they said, there was no medical reason to take the left, because there was no cancer over there,
yeah.
as or not yet. Um, and so they really said it's up to me. And at one of my oncology appointments, the nurse practitioner said to me, she goes, I know we can't advise you, it's your decision. She goes, but let me ask you this question. And this is why I love, as a coach, I love powerful questions that really lead you to the answer, your own answer. And she asked me this. She said, what would give you the greatest peace of mind?
Mm,
And she was the first person who had asked me that question like that. And when she asked that of me, it was immediate double mastectomy. I'm going to go with the most aggressive surgical option I have, even though it's a way harder recovery. Like there's a lot more to it, obviously. But for me, that my worst fear at this stage is not necessarily dying. I really feel like I'm going to be successful in this treatment and my body's responding favorably in all the ways that I'm hoping it would. But my worst fear is reoccurrence,
mm.
because the cancer I have loves to hide out and come back. And when it comes back, it usually comes back at stage 3 or 4, like it goes into your bones, your brain, or your organs, somewhere, life threatening. And so yeah, for me, it was like, I would rather, if this thing comes back and I didn't do the most radical surgery, that would be my worst. I should have took them
Mm.
both when I had the chance. And so and again, it's a very personal thing. I'm not advising anybody if anyone's going through their own thing right now. But for me, that gave me the greatest peace of mind to do the most aggressive surgical option and then see. And because of that, though, it may mean I may skip radiation because, again, the radiologist is like, you've already taken away 90% of your breast tissue. I mean, there's a little bit behind there that something could be hiding in. He goes, but you've taken away most of the risk already.
Mm.
So I feel good about it. So we'll
Well,
see. We'll
yeah, I
see.
wanted to talk to you because I haven't interviewed anyone yet with breast cancer, and especially because you're going right through it. And then the other thing is, you are a mindset coach. So
Hmm.
you are someone coming to this, a big and
Hmm.
a Grey's Anatomy watcher, total understanding of health and medical stuff, as
Yeah.
well as you're a woman
Hmm.
who helps guide other people with mindsets,
Yeah.
coaching. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you with your
Uh-huh.
mind because I have so
Hmm.
many, such a wide range of listeners to this podcast.
Yeah.
And we never know what piece of information will help give them peace of mind,
Hmm. Yeah.
piece of
Okay.
wisdom. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's
for
important to me.
me, Yeah, no, I mean it's a beautiful question because you're right. I feel like I do have some tools in the toolbox to handle this sort of plot twist. Um, and and not to say that I didn't feel devastated. I feel scared and feel all those things. Of course I did. Even I remember the night before I started chemo because it's that fear of unknown. Like, what is it going to be like? Am I going to be able to tolerate it? Will I be just so sick? Will I be able to function? Will I be, like I was just, you can't sleep or I couldn't sleep, all the things. But I have to say, there's a couple things that I immediately sort of went to. I probably didn't go to gratitude first, although I have lots of things I can say I'm grateful to cancer for now already in the middle. And I'm still in what I call the messy middle. I mean, I'm not clear yet. I'm not
Yeah.
through it yet, but I'm in the middle. And but I recognized very quickly that it was going to be super important for me to focus on the things I can control. I can't control that it showed up. I can't control that I'm in the system now. I can't control that I'm on the fast track. I can't control that it's going to be overwhelming. I can't control the drugs that are going into my body. I mean, I guess I could say no, but I opted to do, to let Western medicine do its thing for me. Not to say I was ruling out Eastern medicine or woo-woo medicine or,
Hmm.
Santa Claus. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm welcome to any healing that comes my way. And so I just thought, okay, what can I control in this? And there was a couple things right away. I mean, I can control my attitude about it, right? Well, that was number one. It's like I'm not going to be angry about it.
Hmm.
It's here, and I know that anytime, any other time that let's say I'm sick, right? If I just get a sick, or maybe I get a migraine, or I'm just exhausted. I think anytime your body is talking to you, whether whispering or in my
Right.
case, extremely loud,
Yeah.
it's an invitation. It's always an invitation to listen, to lean into it. So I immediately said, okay, body, what do you need? Right? I'm going to really have to lean into rest. I'm going to really have to lean into looking at what I put in my body. So, what a beautiful invitation to clean up my diet, clean up drinking, you know, which, I have to say, I mean, I was a very excellent gin and tonic drinker. I mean, I was just thought that was a spectacular cocktail. And then, ironically, just last year, I realized that the tonic is so sugary. I really need to break up with gin. So
Yeah.
you think I would just break up with alcohol, but no, then I started dating tequila and soda instead. Um, and so I was having just a really great relationship with tequila and soda. And then I got diagnosed with cancer. And and of course, your doctor's not going to say don't drink, don't eat sugar, don't eat, processed foods. They don't really say that. But to be honest, you feel so terrible with all those toxic radioactive drugs in you. The last thing I could thought about doing was, oh, I wish I could add a hangover to this. Like that would be a great idea. Like I need more booze. I need some drugs. I need some. No, I was like, I don't need. No, I want like
No, keep it
juice.
simple.
I want vegetables. Like your body naturally just knows what it needs. And so that's another gift, right? And so again, I looked at what can I control? My diet, my sleep, my rest, learning to really receive, and again, as women, we're always great givers. We love to give. And a thing like this is allowing people to, um, support me. I mean, and I've got an incredible support system. I'm extremely grateful to. But lots of people, and I will say this. So, because I not necessarily for people who have cancer, but there's some interesting language, and I'm a big language stickler. I know
You are a word girl. Absolutely. Tell me.
I am a word girl. And there's a couple of things that I noticed that people, and again, it's people are just trying to say something nice, sort of like, you know, and people mean well, but sometimes they really screw it up, right? They don't necessarily say the right things. Like someone, let's say your dog dies, and they're like, well, at least you still have your cat, like you're like, that's not really honoring my dog, like, but they're trying to say something to cheer you up, or whatever, right? And what I noticed that what people would say to me all the time, they're like, you got this, Beth.
Mm.
We're in their way of kind of like, the pom poms and the, you got this, and like cheering me on. And which you would think, well, what's wrong with that? That's beautiful, right? But I have to say, it actually overwhelmed me when people said that, because I immediately felt like, number one, it's up to me. Number two, I'm on my own in this. And number three, what if I don't got this? What if this is not something I can get? You know what I mean? What if it gets me? So there was a lot of mind frick that came with the I got this, until a friend came up to me again, and she had been through the cancer journey herself. And maybe that was just her, different perspective. But then she said something that was almost the same, but completely different. And she goes, tell me what your diagnosis is. And I told her, stage 2 metastatic breast cancer. And she said, I got you, which is very different than you got this.
Totally. Wow. I see, I can learn from that so much.
Right?
Yeah,
Because you think
that's huge.
you got
That's
this is
huge.
beautiful, it's
Yeah.
cheering. But when someone says, I got you have this, again, you feel emotional, right? It's like somebody's got you. You can kind of surrender into their support, into their love, into their care, into their whatever it is that you need. And you're not by yourself in it. And yeah. And so I started to repeat that to my friends. And so they also so they stopped saying, you got this, and started saying, I got you. I
Mm.
got you.
And you,
And
oh, sorry, you
it's a
go.
beautiful thing to say to someone. No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because you mentioned it before, women are great at giving and not receiving. So
Yeah.
how, and you also talk about how muscling through isn't the strength,
Hmm.
it's that quieter thing.
No.
So
Hmm.
is the receiving part of that what the quiet strength looks like? Because for so many women, it's so fucking hard to receive. It's been one of my biggest life lessons.
It's yeah, it's part of it. It's part of it. And part of it is, I would say yes, receiving for sure. The other quiet strength is saying no when it's doesn't serve you, right? And that power of no.
Mm.
And I have to say that's another gift, again, another gift of cancer, wrapped up in a little brown paper bag, maybe, but nevertheless, gift of that. It really amplifies. And again, this is one thing I realized I could control, which is the sort of energy management, I would call it, right? So the people, the things, the experiences, the things I wanted more of that I knew were nourishing, that were restorative, that were, joyful, whatever. Those became really clear yeses and nos. So things that that even now that are overwhelming to me, again, for my energy, I think I'm functioning really well, but put me in a noisy, like noisy bar, too muchy.
Yeah.
Put me in a big party with super people-y, even people I love, could be 50 people that I think are amazing, too muchy. Um, again, and not, no, things that you would normally, I'm not really an obligatory kind of, oh, I'll do it. But, we all do obligatory things sometimes. And
Sure.
I got to say, when you have cancer, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
You,
Nobody's
you pull the
mad at
cancer
you.
card and go, ah, sorry, can't come, cancer. We're really just
Cancer.
going, just give me some
I
fucking
know.
time.
But that power of that, to just say, this is what I need, this is what serves me, this is, and even committing is energy management. And so that's another thing, like, I've learned that if someone says, oh, are you free on Tuesday, I'd love to go for lunch, which again seems like a lovely thing to look forward to, but I realize that again, you don't realize until you're in this little cancer system, but it's a part-time job having cancer. I mean, it's not just the cancer treatments. You got to go for blood work. You got to go meet your oncologist, your surgeon, your consults, like I am at the hospital or a clinic or a lab like many, 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 many times a month. It's a full-time job. Like today, I was at appointments from 11 till 4 o'clock this afternoon,
Huge.
all medical appointments, right? So the beautiful thing, so I don't want to be scheduled, not my I at all anymore. So I literally have, it's made my calendar so discerning,
Good.
so
Yeah.
clean, where I leave big blocks of, if I feel like it, time. So I might have an open day and I don't put it, I say to my friends, they're like, I'd love to see you. And I was like, I'd love to see you. Let's touch base in the morning. And then I have and it gives me this beautiful, calm relaxation. I don't have any pressure on me to show up, to be well enough to go out, to do anything or do the thing that we planned. There's no plan. There's just this invitation. And it's so beautiful. So I wake up and I go, oh, I feel like going for a walk. And then I text my friend, can we do a walk? Or I'd love to go for lunch. La la la. Or actually, I'm not feeling well today. Let's try again maybe next week or tomorrow or whatever. And that's been a super gift, is just really, again, boundaries around my time and not committing even fun things. Just really creating space in my calendar. And of course, I've still worked through this all. So that's even made it even more important that I give my energy when I'm speaking or I'm coaching, or I know I have my work appointments. And then in between that is rest, rest, rest.
So I was going to ask that because you have been working through this. So
Mm-hmm.
what myths about resilience, because people go, oh, you're so resilient. Like what myths does that or this experience just blow out of the water?
Well, I mean, I surprised myself because I actually didn't know. Again, I didn't know if I was just gonna be curled up in the fetal position for 6 months, like
Mm,
some people, have different reactions. And so I found pretty quickly that a rhythm in the chemo. So it became pretty predictable, and that could have changed at any time if I'd had a reaction or something went sideways or I got an infection or a cold or anything kind of happened. But for me, luckily, that didn't happen. And so I found my chemo very predictable. So, you go for treatment and the first day or two, they pump you with so much anti-nausea and steroids to try to combat the immediate infusion. And so you actually feel not bad, like not like dancing queen, but not terrible. And then by day 3, 4, all the way for the next week, the fatigue hits you. And I just felt super tired. Like just everything was an effort and very little leaving the couch. You're just gonna zone out. And so but then after about 10 days post for treatment, I started to feel quite good. And then that last week, I felt honestly pretty fantastic. Like, I go play pickleball if I felt like it. Things like that. Or I'd go, that was when I would put my speaking engagements if I could, right? If someone said, can you speak? And I would say, absolutely. This week is
that's
terrific
the
for
week.
me.
Yeah.
That's the week to speak, right? And so that's when I would travel. That's when I would speak. That's when I would do stuff, which, drove my oncologist a little bit crazy because, he'd be like, okay, your next infusions, September 24th. And I'm like, ooh, I'm speaking that day. Can we do it on the 25th? And he's like, I'm trying to save your life.
And you say, and I am trying to save my life. Your mindset's part of it.
Life.
Yeah.
You're in my life, but I'm also wondering if we could just scooch. He goes, he said, first of all, I've never heard the word scooch and chemo treatment in the same sentence. And I've never had a patient ask me so often to scooch their treatments around their life. And I'm like, well,
You're a scoocher.
I'm a scoocher. And so that's how I made it work. And so you're right,
Mm,
kind of, I don't know if I'm really answering your question about resilience, but I really believe that we are capable of more than we think.
yeah.
And I do think, like you say, I don't have a perfect mindset by any means. I certainly had some bad days. I certainly, have felt sorry for myself some days, like, and certain moments, like, and like, of course, the day I lost my hair or when it started to fall out, it's emotional
Mm,
because I felt that all these things were part of my identity, my hair, my boobs, it's like, oh my gosh, like all these things I'm shedding. And so I'm like, you have to take a moment, right? To just really pause. And that's why, like, the picture I sent you of me in the lake is that the day that my hairdresser kind of just took the rest of it because it was all starting to clump out. And she goes, let's just take it off. And it wasn't totally bald, but it was pretty bald. And my first thought was I need to go for a swim. I need to go into the water. I just need to feel like cleansed. Like I just wanted to just be in nature where I feel always the best.
mm.
I'm sure like if I lived in Australia, I would have went for a surf, except I don't know how to surf, but I
No,
am going to learn
we
if
would
I
get
get
to it. You
there. I
will.
will come over. I
You
want to
will.
be up there with
We'll
the
chuck you in the
women
water.
surfing. I know.
I know your lake. I love where you live. It is a
Oh,
stunning part of the world. But you went and bought the wig and everything in preparation.
yes.
For those of you
Okay.
watching on YouTube, have a look
I
right now.
did.
This is Beth's
Okay. Look.
wig.
Okay. I'm going to show you. Look, here it is.
Oh,
Which,
lovely.
look, I should put it on just
Yeah,
for
do that.
effect.
I have to
And I won't,
say, you look hot as
because this
fuck
is
with your.
kind of like,
Oh,
my old hair.
it
Like
is
it really
kind of.
was,
Yeah.
it's a little bit bobby, but anyways, yeah, look at, like, that's crazy. I feel like
It
it
is
doesn't look like
actually
me now,
like your old hair. Yeah. But you
right?
look
This is how
younger
my,
and funkier with a crew cut. Like it's
right?
hot.
So I bought this wig right away because I knew I'd lose my hair. And I primarily bought it for speaking engagements
Right.
because I thought I knew I had some speaking engagements. And as a speaker, I have to say that, and I'm a really big, like sometimes I help, I help people who want to become speakers and things like that. That's one of my favorite things. And one of my soapboxes as a speaker, because we all have a story, we all have a thing, and whatever we might, our, rag to riches, or before I was this and now I'm amazing, and like all these, before and after stories that we often share as speakers. But one of my pet peeves is when a speaker kind of not, I don't want to say overshares, but shares their story in a way where the audience starts to caretake them. They start to worry about them. They're like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, they start crying, or they're like, oh my God. And then my dog died. And then my friend, and they're like, oh my God. Like, then it's about you, not about your
The
audience or your
audience. Yeah.
message. Right. And so that was why I bought the wig
Mm.
initially, because I didn't want my audience to start caretaking me. I wanted to tell them about the cancer, but on my own terms. And then they wouldn't necessarily know unless I shared it. And so I didn't want them to go, oh my, are you okay? And so I was very concerned. And that's why I initially bought the wig. And so so one of my first speaking engagement after I lost my hair was in September, and I was with a group of pharmacists in Saskatchewan, and I brought the wig. I had the wig on. I arrived with the wig. And then I showed up for the event, and I was doing a multiple talks with them over a course of 3 days. And so my opening keynote with them, I told them la la la, and then at the very end of my keynote, I said, oh, and like PS. No, I didn't take off the wig, but I
Ah.
said, I have cancer, and this is a wig, which was very disappointing to, some people in the audience. Who This one woman came up to me after, and she goes, I was going to ask you what kind of hair products you use. I just thought your hair was fantastic. And now you have no hair products that I can buy.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
you
sorry.
still wash a wig. You've got to clean a
Yeah,
wig.
you do have to clean a wig, but I've washed it so little. I have not washed it since I got it. And then after that, I just went with no hair, with no wig. Um, but shortly after that, I don't know, I just stopped wearing it. I just
Mm.
and you know, and maybe it's because of human nature that it's amazing that people really they're not really that concerned about it. And maybe that's because we all just worry about our own self. We're all in our own stuff. We're like, I don't know why she doesn't have hair, but
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe she's got alopecia.
Oh,
Maybe
she's
she's
just a
got
trendy girl
cancer.
now. Look at that chick go.
Maybe she's just, yeah, she just likes the GI Jane. But like, I just started to feel like I could do this exact same thing where I'll just speak, I'll just talk about message, I'll just tell my little stories, I'll just do all the things I do, and I'll still tell them about the cancer at the end, like I always do. By the way, P.S. And I do it that way so my like you say my it amplifies my message
Mm.
so that people understand that what I'm talking about, like I talk a lot about joy and the importance of joy in your life, and not as this fluffy bubble bathy kind of thing,
You are not a bubble
but
bath.
like no, well, I
Okay.
do love bubble
Well,
baths,
yeah,
but
but you're not the
it's
fluff.
not the
You're you.
antidote. It's not
No,
it's not going to
no,
cultivate resilience to sit in a
no,
bathtub
no.
or self-care. I mean, you want to talk about self-care? Let's talk about how to be kind to yourself. That's self-care, not, you know, bubble baths like that's like the icing on the cake. Well, great if you love to soak, but that's not self-care. And nor is that going to cultivate resilience. And so I talk about joy as a strategy, as a almost like defiance. It's like rather than, you know, when we talk about joy, we talk about joy as a reward often. Like when I get done my work, I will reward myself, you know, and maybe we're raised that way. Like I remember when I was a young girl learning how to play the piano and you get a sticker, you know, when you do your scales or you could play the song. And, you know, I think we get socialized really earlier into this earn your reward program, and I'm not about that. I'm about that, build that joy in to your day. And that's certainly been, you know, part of my daily practice, like even you know, before when I had chickens. But when you have, you know, in this season of challenge, joy is super, super important. As well as having purpose. So that's why my work is really important, to keep working and not wait until I'm through the cancer to plan some big joy event at the end of this. No, like I said, I'm going to Belize. I'm going on a trip next month. I'm going on, you know, little holidays all over the place. I'm doing things all the time that it's like inputting into me, and that to me feels like then I'm ready. I'm ready with the when the hard comes. As
Mm.
well as I also do hard things, by the way, which not necessarily physically hard right now, but like, you know, like when I, you know, for the last few years, I've been super into cold water immersion. And that's another way that I cultivate my resilience, where, you know, if I'm choosing to go into cold water, I'm choosing to submerge myself, I'm choosing to freeze my ass for a few minutes, um, but for the benefits of after. And whether or not you think there's anything but anecdotal evidence physiologically, met,
It
mentally,
works
you
for you.
cannot. It works for me. And
That's
I'm
what
not saying
matters.
that everyone should become a cold water dipper. I'm saying that when we do hard things, it deepens our belief that we can actually
Can
do
do.
hard things.
Mm.
And so when hard comes like this, when you get, like you said, something comes at you sideways that you didn't see coming, somebody divorces you or sleeps with your best friend, or somebody dies, or whatever, something happens that you had no preparation for, you can draw on that and go, I can do hard things and I can do this. And
Mm.
that's been my belief this whole journey. I can do it.
Mm.
So that's my
You
that's
are,
my feeling.
we are, time is racing away. I can't believe how quick a chat with you can go.
Hmm.
A big part of your work is relationships. I want to ask,
Hmm.
people diagnosed with any kind of whatever or hit with a big challenge of some description, managing relationships is giant. Managing
Hmm.
relationships just when life is good can be giant.
Hmm.
You are a
Hmm.
bloody awesome relationships coach.
Thank you.
What, if, you know, if someone's listening to this and thinking, fuck, What could you share with them about, managing the relationship with themselves, with the closest ones around them, things like that? Because it's
Yeah.
communication's got to be huge.
Yeah. 100%. You're absolutely spot on. I think, again, I think that my circumstance in the last 6 months or so has certainly amplified my relationships. Some for the better, some not as much. Some surprised me, like people who I thought would be like, oh, like at my door,
Mm,
um, maybe were not, and other people who I expected to be kind of peripheral support system were like right here at my side. So it was interesting. So I think part of that, the practice I've had to do is just not judge, because I think people react in it. Again, not everybody knows how to handle your big thing, and to just be compassionate with your people, and that some people know exactly what to do and other people are reduced by it. They're afraid for you, or they it triggers them, or lots of stuff happens for people when they witness somebody else going through a big thing. And so I would say the first thing would be just really be compassionate with your people if you notice them not showing up the way you were hoping they would.
mm,
Secondly, of course, is be willing to have those conversations with them and say, hey, I noticed you pulled back. Can we chat about it? How are you doing? Like, again, everyone always asks how the cancer person is doing, but nobody asks about how the caregivers, how the friends are doing, how the
huge.
kids are doing,
Yeah.
how and my kids are 23 and 25. And, I always said to, when people say, how are you doing? I love it, because I love when my people check in with my people, because it's really hard to watch somebody going through something hard.
Mm,
And so I would definitely say to people, tell your people what you need. Um, I think also, be really clear about your boundaries. So, recently I had a little situation where, we've kind of got what we call our inner circle. And when I have a big update, like today, the inner circle will get an update about the radiologist and the surgeon report and
yeah.
all that. Um, and recently, a little while ago, I found out that the sort of the inner circle people, what I would call, which are it's a pretty small group of
Yeah.
people that really get the whole scoop. Like
Yeah.
there's stuff that you share with the inner circle,
Yeah.
then you share with the outer circle, and then you might share with, Instagram, some much
Filtered
more,
version. Yeah.
yeah, different version, right? And so, anyways, the inner circle people, one of my inner circle people were basically like copy and pasting these updates that they were getting and sending them to all kinds of people that I didn't want to know my very personal and medical stuff.
Mm,
Um, and so I had to have a so there's a really beautiful opportunity for a difficult conversation, because it's someone I love and I trust, but I had felt a bit violated actually when people are sharing all kind, like with random people. And so I had to say to this person really clearly and say, just to be explicit, and that's the word I use. I just need to be explicit. You are the inner circle, and you're getting these updates that are just for you. And I understand that when people ask how I'm doing, you just want to cut and copy and paste what I've sent you. But what I would prefer is if you would just please give a more general update, or if they want specifics, just reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to tell people what I want to share. And that way I can kind of a little bit control my personal information. And so there's a perfect example of, like I say, when someone's going through a hard thing, sometimes the whole world talks about it, again, well-meaning,
yeah,
but not
totally.
necessarily respecting your privacy, right? Oh,
Mm,
did you hear so and so is getting divorced? Well, maybe they haven't shared that with the outer world yet, right? Or maybe they don't want everyone to know that their partner was sleeping with their friend, or that they lost their job, or that they're filing for bankruptcy, or whatever is the thing that people are going through. it's private unless you decide to share it publicly. It's your stuff. And so that's been something I've had to navigate a little bit too, is helping people understand what's private, what's public, what's shareable, what isn't. And yeah, it's just really having compassionate but very clear conversations with people. I know they mean well, and still setting my own boundaries, saying, please don't share that. Please don't send that out. Please don't just send that to random people that I don't know. Um, yeah.
It's big.
So yeah, it is
Mm.
big. Yeah.
I am curious, what have we not talked about yet that you really want to
Mm.
speak into? About
Hmm.
anything. What do we need to say?
I think, oh, I don't know. I mean, I think I want to talk because I know you love this word crone.
Yes,
Um,
I do. I want
right?
to reclaim it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I've never thought, oh, I'm a crone and I'm gonna like that, wrapping my head around that means. So in a way, I want to know what crone means to you. And then I want to speak into how I feel more crony right now.
Love to. We could call you Crone Dome.
Crone dome.
Crone Dome.
Exactly.
Look, and my TED talk I did the end of last year that I recorded that comes out next month. I just can't wait to see what I actually said.
I'm sure it
When I
was
was when I was
amazing.
28, was new learning naturopathy stuff, and I started to learn about the suffragettes and the women healers of the past and the women who took a stand for stuff in life. And
Hmm.
Chrome was the word then. I went, fuck, I can't wait. Like to grow through life experience and be in that place where I can be that woman for other people, the community and other women.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
sent, and I just thought it was cool because I'm studying this stuff as a naive little naturopath. And I sent when my mum hit 50, I sent her a card that said, "Hey, congratulations, you're a crone." She was so heavily insulted. It was when I
Hmm.
realized that, the West had a different view of it. For the last, well, 25, 27 years, I've traveled extensively, a lot into Asia and a lot of these other cultures, non-Western cultures, as a speaker, where I see the wise woman is everything, the matriarch, like amazing.
Hmm.
Respect, listen to, all oldies are. However, there's a different wisdom that comes through the women and how stuff is just naturally carried down. So for me, that's all the crone. The Western word, crone comes from crown and all these other kind of stuff, and it was used against us 600 odd years ago. And so I've been trying to reclaim this word in my world since my mid 40s. Well, really, since I
Hmm.
was 26, 28. And so for
Yeah.
me, it means crossing that threshold from can bleed to can't bleed, can breed to can't breed. And that wisdom we've accumulated the last 40 odd years is we get to own that. And it's a time of, being there for other people, being a different level of service for the community and those around us. So for me, it's a really special time for men and women, but particularly crone. But the Western word crone has been bastardized to shit.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
call it nowadays the present day wise woman.
Yeah. Oh,
Tell me
I mean,
your thing of crone.
well, I think I am so in line with what you just said. Like for me, it's almost like this earned wisdom,
Yeah.
right? Where you get to truly live your truth and not just live your truth. And I think you're right. I mean, I think we could probably go on a whole other podcast around patriarchy and
Oh, I'd love to do
oppression
that
and,
with you.
oh, like
We can dig
just,
that
oh,
apart. We'll do that as
right?
another one.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
in
yeah.
fact, I was watching someone. There was a woman who I was watching the other day on Instagram who gets a lot of trolls and people, proposing all kinds of sexual things to
Yeah.
her because she's a public figure, and she said she called this person out publicly since they were, proposing to her publicly, and she got a lot of pushback from other women who
Whoa.
said that you're not being like, I get that he's not being very good, but like you're not being nice either. And her response was so dead on. She just said, I don't think you mean, no, they said she wasn't being kind. And she goes, oh no, it's not that I'm not being kind. You think I'm not being nice, which is making it easy for everyone else to feel comfortable
Yes.
at the cost of yourself and your own
Yeah.
self-respect, your own boundaries. And so when I hear what you say about Crone, it's around not being nice anymore.
Well, or I choose to use the word speaking your truth
Yes, which
because
again,
we
or saying
we
I'm going to stand in my again in my power in a way where I'm still a kind person. I'm a super kind person, but includes myself, which doesn't mean
mm,
I won't speak up. If
yeah.
somebody is going to say something disrespectful, I'm going to be like, hey, and for me, I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I feel like it's like an alcoholic. Like,
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope to you could get right back in there, right? One drink away and you're back into and for me, people pleasing was my crutch. I was just like, I would say yes when I meant no. I would be nice, when I was allowing people to take advantage of me. I don't want to stir up a pot. I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to la la la. And I think a crone is okay with a scene. I think a crone is okay with the disruption. I think a crone is okay with advocating when it means, standing up for what's right. And I don't mean that you're just this raging bitch, although
No.
if you need to be, I think that's fine. But there's a time and a place for rage. I think that's another thing where I think anger has been something that's we've been taught that is scary or bad or wrong or hysterical or like, again, we could go back into history about hysterical. Um, but I think it's okay to be a bit angry sometime and still be a good person. So I don't
Yes.
know. I haven't really
No, no, I
reconciled it all
agree.
again,
I agree.
but I think for me, it's about being able to really not to give a little bit less of care about what people think of me as long as what I know my truth and what I think of myself be far more important, my own self-respect versus other people's comfort. I
I
think to
recorded a
me,
podcast yesterday that's coming out in a few editions' time, and where I get on my soapbox and I call it Rogue Wisdom. But I basically talk about how because estrogen drops in us as we age, which is part of that,
mhm.
we reach this time of crondom, that we care deeper, and at the same time we actually don't care. So we
Oh,
care to
this
stand and to
beautiful sort
take
of
a stand.
dichotomy.
It's
Yes,
huge.
that's
I've got goosebumps. I care deeper than I've ever cared about anything, like society, people, me, everything. And this time last year, I was in the north of China, right up near a town called Harbin, right up near the Russian border. Minus
yeah.
35 is a warm day. And it's a matriarch area.
Oh, wow.
And because I don't travel as a tourist. I travel with my business partners and translators and friends. And they took me into their friend communities, and I sat with women. And the thing I like about the Eastern philosophies that we've lost in the West, over there, the phoenix is feminine, long, the dragon is masculine. The phoenix in West is like, "Rah, fucking stand on everyone, just conquer, I'm back." And you know
Mhm,
what? Feng Huang, which is the Chinese phoenix, she's like, yeah, let's do this. And to
mhm.
spend time with these women who are grounded, knowing,
Right. It's quiet.
fucking so quiet, the
Hmm.
quiet you spoke about, so
Hmm.
fierce and
Hmm.
protective of everything and won't compromise.
Hmm.
They stand in something that I had to go and get a tattoo. I've got Feng Huang on my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
She's the most
That's
gentle.
beautiful.
There she is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a total different energy. And I went,
Hmm.
they get it in the cultures where the woman hasn't been, we were burned at the stake, and my TED talk is about how we've bought into that story and we've kept that shit going, whether calling people Karen or
Yeah.
getting Botox or doing whatever. We've kept
Hmm.
ourselves suppressed. And so I would love to have just a whole podcast with you about this one day, Beth, when you're ready,
Okay, let's
because
come
it's
back.
huge.
Part two.
Yeah. So Crone is, for me, it is a deeper caring. And at the same
Mhm.
time, I know,
Oh,
fuck, love me, like me, don't care. This is
yes.
important. And I'll take a stand. But it's not, if we're just raging all the time, we can't be heard.
No,
We,
no.
it's like, I'm
And
here.
like you say, sometimes a quiet no is
Oh,
just like
way more powerful
way more powerful, right? Rather
because
than a
it's certain,
right,
totally.
just
Yeah,
no.
that's the
I'm just
feminine.
gonna say no.
But women in the
Yeah,
West, we've seen strength as masculine, where feminine energy is so much more powerful than masculine energy will ever be.
yeah,
That grounded
yeah.
certainty in life. It's huge.
Hmm. Right. Well, like you say, that is a whole other topic about
Love to
how
have
the
you back when you're
feminine
ready. You just let me
have
know.
been suppressed.
It has. It
Because it's
has.
scary, it's so powerful, right? Like
Yeah.
we were the witches, we were the healers, we were the doctors, we were
Everything was just naturally
historically,
handed down. The wisdom
yeah,
was handed down, and it became, you couldn't. You were locked up
mhm,
for being mad, or you were burned at the stake if you tried to share your wisdom. What
I know,
bullshit.
I know. Yeah.
It's time for
So
us to get
I
back
love
home.
this. I love your definition of crone.
That's
I
my
will
definition.
subscribe to that. Like you say, caring about everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, that's it for
Beautiful.
me.
And I'm so, thank you. Thank you for the invitation just to have this
Mm.
conversation. And even though it said can be triggering, it's messy.
It's
Like I said,
important.
it's the middle. But I feel really good,
Mm.
all things considered. I,
Well, I've got you. Thank you for
yeah,
teaching me that.
thank you.
Yeah.
I
Before
love
you run
you.
away, I want to thank you for loving me, and I love you too. Before you run away, tell me, if you could whisper in your 18-year-old self's ear, what wisdom
Oh,
would you give yourself with the wisdom you've got today? What would you tell her?
oh my gosh. Oh, what would I tell her? So many things. And I'm trying to think of something that is not cliche or sounds so, I think what I would say to her, would be to again, that to trust yourself a lot sooner. I think again, it sounds so, I can't think of something that is very eloquent right now, but I think for years, I gave away my power so easily. I gave away my opinion. I like all like I just was really easily influenced. And I'm somebody who really didn't need to look outside so much. And I think I would have say to her, just trust yourself and really develop. I wish I had developed way earlier in my life was that my own intuition, my own little
Mm.
witchy ways, and I think like I have a lot of friends who have have a lot of what I call my woo woo people in my, like, if there's a conference, I'll sit down at some random seat and for sure the person next to me, talks to dead people or like they're, some sort of channeler or like, psychic or whatever. And anyways, all my woo people say that we're all have our own intuitive psychic abilities and we just don't develop them. And so now I'm thinking, I think I would say that to my 18-year-old self. I would say develop that ability to trust that inside
Mm.
part of you, whether it's clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, whatever clair you want to develop if you don't know your clairs, but just that part of you, that wisdom that lives in all of us,
Trust
that
it.
I overrode that so
Mm.
often in my mind, in my body, like there was clues all over the place, and I overrode it all the time. And I would tell her to not, to learn that sooner, to trust it.
Mm.
So that's all I got for
I
now.
love it. That's fucking huge. Thank you. So to
Mhm.
everyone listening in, have a look below. It doesn't matter where you're listening, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you are listening, playing along on whatever podcast platform. All the links to check out Beth are below. If you need an amazing keynote speaker, a relationship coach, anything, just follow this chick. I've known you, I don't know, just more than 10 years, probably 15. And yeah, you're the real deal. And I love that. Thank you for giving so generously today.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. And my wish is to get back to Australia.
Yes. I'll get you in the surf.
And learn to surf.
Done.
So I'm going to put it in my
chuck it on the vision board. I'm in.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. That'd
All right,
be amazing.
love you.
Okay. Thank you, darling.
See you. Bye.